But by the way, if I don't take here, can I do this? Or is it too much?
No, it's probably okay. And what should be too like this?
Ah, no, you go f6. You go f6.
Or rather, further development, so a bit further into the game between these two.
And it's actually exactly what Tanya wanted to show earlier, so just maybe a quick action replay as we dive in. The live position will be at the bottom right of your screens for the next few moments, but just to recap, pawn to c4 was met by symmetry, and Tanya's point, having the advantage of the white pieces in freestyle is maybe even more important than in normal chess, because you get the chance to strike first before. Now black simply doesn't have time to kind of build that pawn cube. White would simply be grabbing here, so we see a bit of a timid move, pawn to b6. The white queen actually comes out very early. Don't try it at home, folks, but this can work very well. And white simply has more space here, more central pawns. You could imagine white building a big pawn center for pawn attack. And James, it feels like already Firouzja maybe getting a small advantage against Magnus.
Yeah, not just that. I'm looking at, this knight jumping in a little bit further, continuing to pile pressure on here. Maybe we slide this bishop out and continue to line up a bit of an attack, or even slide it this direction as well, right? Hitting the same pawn as a possibility. But as you mentioned, it's just going to look to kind of lock down the center, pushing that D pawn forward, rather. And already it's starting to feel like black is struggling for space, right? And I think constantly about fighting for space and control of the center, and it's going to be difficult now to get those pawns coming forward, as well as get the king to safety in time.
Yeah, he's a bit of a space monster these days, Magnus Carlsen, Tanya. So the fact that he's a bit cramped here, all of his pawns a bit stuck, unable to move, he's not going to be too happy, the world number one.
No, he's not happy at all with what he's gotten right out of the opening, and that's why the first few moves in freestyle chess are just so incredibly important. You've got these world-class players, but you see them come into trouble very early on, sometimes within the very first 5 moves. For white, the flexibility in the center that you were earlier demonstrating, he's already advanced 2 of those pawns, the one in front of the king, the one next to that also getting in. Then you place your knight behind those pawns, getting into those central squares. It feels as if the play just flows for Alireza. Meanwhile, for Magnus Carlsen, he's still struggling to find the right squares for his pieces. He does vacate one of them, the one in front of the king. I'm expecting the bishop to land there next to target that white queen.
And it kind of reminds me of what Levy said at the start of today. Magnus was lost twice yesterday within 10 moves. He just didn't get going, really. He barely got out of the traps. And his move 6, I don't know how bad his position is, but if Alireza starts building already, push another pawn, you can even push another pawn to f4 maybe later within a few moves. I don't know, I think Magnus might just be on the back foot. He comes back.
Felt like there was an opportunity to snag that g2 pawn right here with the bishop on the diagonal.
Why that? Just to mention that this pawn on g2 was defended by the white rook.
Oh my goodness.
But don't worry. That's the thing in freestyle chess. You've got to look for those loose pawns.
Also because usually a knight
needs one more attacker. You've got the bishop attacking, you've got the rook attacking, but in chess 3 is normally the magic number. You need 3 attackers to hunt down the enemy king. How does he achieve that? Is it the white knight that will join in? Now that he's freed up his pawn, the white knight was tied down defending a pawn on the corner h2 square. Okay, Magnus jumps in, trying to counterattack, hitting the rook, hitting this pawn. Okay, still fighting here, Tanya. And suddenly the clocks are level. That wasn't the case earlier.
Yeah, the clock situation is surprising. I think the board is still completely under control for Alireza. He could also think about just trading, getting rid of that bishop, which has got that double attack, go against the rook and the pawn, and find a way to get both his rook towards Magnus's king. The C line is open and the E line is open. I'm expecting him to start getting his rooks to attack. And he does jump in with one of them, targeting the pawn, but now he's given play and the bar shoots down. A huge mistake by Alireza.
What just happened?
He made a blunder. The double question mark appears.
Yeah? Oh, all of a sudden, the evaluation bar is even. Magnus has an opening. Of course, he has to find it. Wow.
Can you just give checks?
You can just give checks here. Alireza's king has nowhere safe to hide. This is really surprising. It looks like you can step up, kind of run away into the center of the board, but as soon as you cross onto the 3rd rank, there will be a bishop exchange, and the black rook after a bishop exchange will come down and skewer you.
Wow.
What a miracle by Magnus Carlsen.
Oh my goodness, of course, he had to have been given the opportunity, but once that opportunity presents itself, he absolutely snatches for it, and he's found himself new life in this game.
And Alireza, he keeps thinking, but there's no way to run anymore. He's up a piece, but the king's got no defense.
We're gonna draw. It's gonna have to be a repetition of moves, yes?
Yeah, miracle save.
What? Look at him.
He looks so frustrated on the camera.
So with that understanding, can we actually go back to the position just before that blunder was made?
Yeah, just to show very quickly, in this position, he ran away with his king. First, he needed to be a bit clever. He needed to give a check, and he could have actually ignored any potential attack on his king. It is a handshake in the meantime.
Wow.
And Alireza can't believe it. What he missed, what he messed up against the world number 1. So close to getting the win in. Everything right. And that last mistake. And Magnus Carlsen gets back, and you can see the relief on Magnus and the heartbreak on Alireza.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of impatience trying to get in there and put some pressure onto the king, and left one opening.
It was the clock as well. He was ahead on the clock the whole game, Alireza, but he just lost a bit of control. Momentum changed, and yeah, that